B flag, as you can see here, has had some renovation work done to it. It used to just be a blank canvas of terrain, but after the latest patch from DSLA, this capture point as well as some of the others have been updated. First of all, before I begin, I just want to make a couple of things clear. Yes, I know the temple in its current state is very basic looking, but we need to remember this isn't DSLA's priority at the moment, seeing as the scale of the map has been confirmed to go into production from the latest survey results. The next step is to create proper themes of each objective as well as the overall map. Any kind of visual details I imagine will be left for another time, so don't worry too much about what it looks like. So like I said, this patch is all about the theme of each capture point. Let's first go over the B flag temple, which has the waterfall going over the top. I really can't wait to see how this entire complex is going to look like in the final release once it has textures and more details. I imagine it's going to look amazing. In the patch notes, DSLA included the backstory around this capture point. As we can see here, it basically just talks about how the ancient temple has been reclaimed by the jungle and is placed behind a waterfall, and that the gunfights will happen between the water mist, which is actually a really cool aspect about this capture point. If you're at the entrance defending the flag, you need to shoot through the mist, and that helps give the point more character. Which, if you guys saw my last video, I said adding as much character to the map is very important in my opinion to separate it from other maps in the game, and for all we know, could actually end up being one of the best maps in the entire game. But overall, as for the temple, it's a great start, though I do want to say a few negatives that showed itself after a couple of hours of playtesting this update. I know DSLA don't want to hear feedback like this, but I do want to talk about it anyway. First of all, I do think the whole entire temple needs to be elevated more. There's a bit of an issue on the left side. A lot of players will just climb the side of the mountain and would have an awesome vantage point looking down into the temple. An alternative to this option is just simply make the side of the mountain more steeper so players can't climb it. The second problem is the actual temple itself. As you can see here, we have a lot of players camping between each of the levels, and believe it or not, there was a lot of players wasting the transport heli just to get to this point, kind of sacrificing the poor transport heli to the temple. This kind of behaviour really shouldn't happen, but as we know, it seems to happen on maps that have these kind of vantage points. To fix a problem, I would like to see the top temple part just be flat, or at least reduce how much space is between each level so players don't have the incentive to waste the goddamn transport heli just to camp here. But don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to pick on what DSLA have done so far, I'm just trying to make sure the map promotes actual team play as much as possible. Also, I have a really cool idea for the temple backstory, but I'll talk more about that at the end of the video. As for the medical clinic, the backstory is a biological weapon has been tested here, and that the monkeys were the test subjects and also managed to escape the facility. This backstory does make sense to me. I don't really have any issues with it in this kind of environment, and to match a Battlefield theme, it being a testing ground for a biological weapon is well suited. Other than the backstory though, the only issues I still have with this capture point is the boundary to burn the flag. It needs to be expanded. It seems like if you're in the middle building, even if you're right at the back, you can still burn the flag, though if you're in one of the side buildings, you can't even get close enough to start burning. So like I said, I think expanding the boundary will be a welcome change. Objective C, which is the ghost town, also has a backstory. It used to be a village that used to supply the nearby logging camp with workers, which does make sense seeing as we do have a logging camp objective point. The village was abandoned after the outbreak. I'm wondering maybe the escaped monkeys from the medical clinic that were biologically tested on made their way over to the logging camp village and spread some kind of disease, which so far sounds well suited and fits the overall theme of the map. As for Objective A logging camp that we spoke about in the backstory of Objective C, it's pretty simple. It's been cleared to provide lumber and land for a palm oil plantation facility nearby, which is the E flag, and this point has actually been updated very slightly. We have some kind of smallish trees here lined up in about 5 rows. The backstory to E is that it was meant to become the local region's economic powerhouse, but has signs of military activity from trying to control the outbreak. So once again, we have more mention of this outbreak that, like I said before, was probably caused by the escaped monkeys. Who knows what kind of diseases they spread throughout the map. But overall, as for the backstories, I have to say I really do like it. Reading through it today, I thought it is interesting. It does also make sense for each point of interest on the map. Except for the temple, I don't know how this is going to blend into the story. Maybe it doesn't need to, seeing as it's ancient and it's obviously been here for a long time. And this brings me to an idea, like I mentioned before, that works both for the theme of the backstory of the map and also adds some more diversity and character to the map. I know Dicelay, like I said, don't want to hear feedback like this, but I do want to tell you guys anyway. I was thinking last night, why don't we have an entrance at the base of the temple that leads to some kind of underground tunnel? It doesn't have to be any elaborate tunnel system, just a single lane path will do. This tunnel is also ancient and has been here for as long as the temple has existed. As an added bonus, I'll make the tunnel almost pitch black so it's harder to fight down here, as well as add in various rocks and whatnot throughout it to provide some cover. And best of all, this tunnel can lead to the Sea Flag village, which creates some cool backstory. Within one of the houses here, maybe one of the villagers somehow discovered that the tunnel travelled under the village and discovered an entrance to it inside of one of the houses. And like the backstory goes with the outbreak, they can make it so the villagers used this tunnel to escape the outbreak and ended up at the temple entrance, and unfortunately died at this location soon after, either by the disease or maybe the military found out where they're located. There can also be some human skeleton remains laying around various places at the temple that tells us some kind of horrific event took place here. I think this backstory really suits the map in my opinion, and also adds a really cool underground tunnel for players to fight in. Though I would like to hear what you guys have to say about it, if it's a cool idea or if it's a stupid idea. But anyway, that's it for today's video. Make sure to let me know your thoughts about the updates to the jungle map. If you have any better ideas for the backstories, leave it in the BF4 CTE Reddit page, or you can just leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.